5 World News.
Here at Dixie Gun Works in Utah, owner Chris Michael woke up shocked by the news of the Las Vegas shooting and the identity of the alleged gunman.
I recognized his name, I recognized the face. I remembered exactly that he was a customer. I remember him coming in and purchasing a firearm through us.
Michael says he sold Paddock a shotgun in February.
Everything lined up. Everything was a normal purchase by a normal person. There was nothing that stood out in any way, shape, or form.
But now the store owner is struggling with the knowledge that a gun he sold may have been used for part of the unthinkable.
It's a feeling of guilt, I mean, to an extent, because, again, what if, coulda, woulda, shoulda, all those kind of things kind of keep falling into place for me. Is there something I could have done?
Today, ABC News is learning more about the firearms Paddock had. Police say 47 weapons were recovered from the suspect's room at Mandalay Bay and his homes in Mesquite and Reno. Arms including shotguns, rifles, pistols, purchased in 4 different states.
Just because we have multiple firearms up here.
Police say one of the weapons used in the Las Vegas attack modified to fire like a machine gun.
This is a classic WMD. This is a weapon and a man of mass destruction.
Sunday's shooting reigniting a fierce debate over gun control.
This morning, we have children without parents and fathers without sons, mothers without daughters. We lost 2 police officers.
Last night, Jimmy Kimmel sidelining humor for this emotional monologue.
I don't know why our so-called leaders continue to allow this to happen, or maybe a better question, why do we continue to let them to allow it to happen?
Those leaders once again divided in the nation's capital. Pro-gun rights Republicans saying the things they so often seem to say after a mass shooting.
And I think it's premature to be discussing legislative solutions, if there are any.
It's the only issue that I'm aware of that has that kind of response, that something bad happens, and the immediate response in Congress is, well, it's too soon for us to talk about it.
And we'll be talking about gun laws as time goes by.
If not when the country's focused on it, what would be a better time to actually talk about these pressing issues?
In more familiar language from pro-gun rights advocates.
Mental health reform is a critical ingredient.
He was a sick man, a demented man. A lot of problems, I guess.
I don't think there's any question that if the shooter was an undocumented immigrant or a refugee from a majority Muslim country or even someone with a Muslim name, that the response from the president would be quite a bit different.
Pro-gun control Democrats saying what they always seem to say.
It is time for action.
We can say enough is enough.
Chris Murphy, Democratic senator from Connecticut, has been pushing gun control since the tragedy at Sandy Hook. Today, not surprised by the pro-gun rights response.
It's a tried and true gun lobby tactic to tell advocates for change that we can't talk about change after a mass shooting.
The horror in Las Vegas, ripping off scabs not yet healed from the story we have heard and told too many times before.
I'm scared, I'm nervous, and I don't know if the people are still out here, if they're not.
This is a club that nobody wants to be in.
Christine Leinonen lost her only son Christopher 16 months ago, one of the 49 killed at the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando. She became an activist for gun control, intent that Orlando's tragedy would not repeat itself.
We can prevent these massacres. My son's killer legally purchased an assault weapon.
A mother resolved that her son will not have died in vain.
It's so unfair that he was stripped of his future.
Christine is not alone in the fight to make sure that attacks of the past are not forgotten and those of the future prevented.
I am absolutely not a politician, but I am a physician who is sick and tired of being reactive to these gun violence incidents.
William Begg is an emergency room physician who lives in Newtown, Connecticut. 5 years ago, he treated victims of the Sandy Hook massacre. 26 people, including 20 school children, gunned down. One of the darkest days in our nation's history.
Gut reaction when you heard about Las Vegas?
My gut reaction was one of immense sadness for all those families and the victims. I quite honestly, I could not physically watch more than a few seconds of the TV. And then it actually turned to anger, because I do know that, and I'm passionate that events like this are, in my estimation, preventable.
Beck sees gun violence as a public health issue
You can own a gun, but why do you need to own a gun that can shoot hundreds of bullets in a minute? What can we do to mitigate all these deaths?
But through conversation and policy, Begg hopes, the country will get on the right track.
After Sandy Hook, we can actually at least talk about this issue, which is a huge cultural shift from before the Sandy Hook tragedy. But obviously, we have a lot more work to do in front of us. We have got to do better as a country.
Do you think we will?
I think we will.
Tonight in Utah, Chris Michaels says that more restrictions or banning firearms are not the answer in America's great debate on guns.
There's not a rule that's out there, in my opinion, I could be wrong, that would have prevented this in any way, shape, or form. When bad people want to do bad things, you're not going to be able to stop it.
It's not Washington politicians, he says, but enforcement and instincts that will prevent future tragedy, or at least that is his hope.
I believe I'm on the front lines. I'm the guy at the very beginning that's dealing with anybody that walks in, whether it's the good person or the bad person. I'm the one that's supposed to be weeding these people out as best I can. The checks and balances for the paperwork that they go through, that the FBI database looks through, all that stuff. I'm still the first guy here, and I'm the last guy.